Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our two new guests, Tyler and Tommy. We're here to break down Oswald and the Star Chaser and everything in between. Tyler, Tommy, welcome to the stream. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Had the chance to read this issue this morning, and it is out of this world, literally out of this world, and I had so much fun reading it. Before we dive too much into this comic, first and foremost, let's do a nice little introduction to who you guys are and how you got into creating comics.
I guess
Who's starting, Tommy? Me or you?
I guess I can go first. My name's Tommy. Handle is ETK Comics. I've been just about a lifelong comic reader, off and on writer with friends and stuff online. At some point, I just had ideas for comic books, and I was like, I love reading these. I want to get into making them. I think maybe it was around early Invincible when I really I really want to do this. I had a lot of inspiration from there, and then off and on little projects that I would work on that wouldn't go anywhere until I struggle with Oswald and the Star Chaser. All right, this is the one we're gonna take somewhere.
Oh, I got you. We were talking backstage too. You had a webcomic that you worked on as well.
Yeah, so we did a short little 12-page webcomic about the Doublefish duo. They're the two guys in the issue one that kind of show up for a little bit at the end. So we did that was made while we were working on Oswald and the Star Chaser. I really had the bugs. I got to make something small. So I wrote that, and then Tyler gave input on all of the story stuff, and then he did the lettering. And then we had a artist that we found online to do that. We put up on Tumblr.
Oh, that is awesome. So Tyler, what about you? I mean, what was your first start into comics?
Yeah, well, my name is Tyler Villano Maron, and that's Tommy Kulik. I want to make sure you say your last name so everyone knows who we are. Well, my first, I guess, really going back, my first dive into comics and my experience was growing up being read the Sunday comics, the funnies by my father. He would always read them pretty much every Sunday and Sunday nights. And then, so I grew up with a good sense of humor for sure. And then, reading some manga, in college, oh my God, like 12 years ago now. And, so then I'm a graphic designer, and my first real experience as an adult with comics was I was on the marketing team, graphic design for Midtown Comics, a big online retailer in New York City. They got a few locations. Anyone up there knows who they are. So that was 2015 to 2017, and then like every single day, I was just experiencing comics from all angles, and that's about the time when Tommy and I met online. We'll talk about that a little bit, and that led me into this lifelong collaboration I'm doing with Tommy.
So
on all sorts of comics.
Were you doing lettering too, you said, or was that just was lettering like your first start into Oswald and the Star Chaser?
The first time I lettered was that Devilfish Duo one shot with Tommy. It was pretty much a proof of concept that we made, and we just put it on Tumblr, like you said, to kind of have something to show to artists, like here we mean business.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to mean business with us? So now I lettered that because I'm a graphic designer now for 10 years, ever since I got out of college. And it's because I'm like, I can do this. I know the programs, and that led into my now my love for lettering.
Oh, that is so awesome. Lettering is an art in itself. I know for me, I have trouble writing stuff that's even legible, so I can't even imagine lettering a comic. So Tommy, Tyler, you guys, you met playing an MMO. Can you give me a little bit about how did that happen, and how did you two end up on the topics of creating comics?
Well, this is usually my pitch, and I'll let Tommy correct me at the end of it. But yeah, so we were both, this is 2014, I think. We were both playing the Square Enix MMO Final Fantasy 14, and we met through mutual friends on there, in that game, there's a lot of content, but there's also a lot of hanging out and dressing up your characters and stuff. Yeah. So as the story goes, I was a cat girl and Tommy was an elf, and we hit it off and started talking comics, our mutual interests, Star Wars, all that stuff. And I think a little bit later is when I started working at Midtown, and our conversations got more into really into comics, and that is where we started. When Tommy pitched Star Chaser, and I'll hand the baton off to you to continue.
Well, I pitched a few different. I think originally I pitched a superhero comic, and then that was kind of never let the scripting phase, and then I had the idea for Oswald and Star Chaser, kind of like a fantasy mixed with fairy tale mixed with sci-fi, and that was the pitch I gave. I think I only gave like the name, and then there's Oswald Redders, and then there's a cool space guy helmet person, and then I was like, all right, cool, let's do that.
So was the cool space guy helmet, was that what became Star Chaser, or?
Yeah, that's Star Chaser.
No, that's awesome. So hearing how this came about, I definitely could see some of those influences, definitely the Star Wars. Is there any influence from Final Fantasy at all with maybe some of the classes? I know Oswald is a space knight, so is there any correlation with that?
No, I feel like maybe he's a bit like a paladin in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Not only from Final Fantasy, but from like as a teenager, I played World of Warcraft, and in there, that's very traditional kind of D&D paladin. Always a lawful good, or I think Oswald, is very naive. So, but he's just trying his best. So he's a bit of a paladin, and then Star Chaser, I don't know, just a merc.
I was gonna say it felt kind of like a tank, right? Almost.
Oh yeah, as people read the first 6 issues, which is the first volume, which is coming out over this year. Yeah, Star Chaser does do a lot of tanking.
And I really, the colors in this were just gorgeous. Out of this world, literally. Can we give a little bit of a shout out to some of the creative team behind it as well?
Yeah, so the colorist is Simon Robbins, and he did the coloring for number 1 and then a few pages of number 2. He had to step away from the project, but his colors for 1 are pretty incredible. Issue 2 and on, the colorist is Rebecca Good. And she her colors are just good as Simon's, maybe a little bit better. They're incredible. And then the artist is Tom Hoskison. He does a really great job of just putting these little details all over the place, and he did a lot of the design work for how Oswald and Star Chaser look.
Yeah, we are so incredibly proud of our artistic team. Just Tom for really making my initial little scribbly concepts really just breathed so much life into them, and just gave his whole own design sense into it. And then so once those inks were done, and Simon Robbins just created this incredible and really unique palette for it. And then as Tommy said, he had to step away, so Rebecca Good took on those duties and just ran with them, and the whole volume is just, in my opinion, biased opinion, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I thought there was one scene in particular where a laser's involved. I'm not trying to spoil too much, but just the effect, you seen the nerve system, the blood vessel. I was just like, wow, this is just stunning. It was just chef kiss.
Yeah, that was all Tom on that.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I was gonna say, I want you to spoil number 1. Because any part of number 1, I want people to be interested maybe in this guy being zapped, and it shows his whole I love showing that panel, because people instantly, they're like, whoa, what's this?
It's good. It is so good. When he gets zapped, and because it's you don't expect it, coming from Star Chaser. And it's like, wow, Star Chaser is a heavy hitter. When you see Oswald go into the bar looking for help, no one wants to help him. They're all shooing him away. And then Star Chaser out of the shadows comes and I'm the one for you. And then next thing you know, Star Chaser's packing some heat. I was like, man, this is such an awesome start. So I'm curious. Let's talk about some of these character designs. What was some of your inspirations? What was going through some of your guys' head when you came up with Oswald and Star Chaser?
So I think one of the big things, so I wanted it to be kind of like a mix, like I mentioned, mix of like a fairy tale and sci-fi. So we kind of see a little bit of that contrast. So Oswald, he's more of a when he has technology, it's more like a retro futurism thing, like almost like the Jetsons. So like you kind of look like what people would think the future would look like 40 or 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then Star Chaser is kind of more like a grungy, hard sci-fi. So it's kind of like that mix of this ideological knight who's on a fairy tale adventure, and then like a grizzled space mercenary who just has what she needs. So no glamour, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm. Tyler, what about you? With your input on the project as well, well, like on your side of things, what went into Oswald and Star Chaser for you?
Yeah, I think this is where we can kind of explain the collaboration between Tommy and I on the series, or really just any chapter, the whole thing. Yeah, so Tommy is kind of the head writer, script writer, and I co-write with him pretty much down to the beat, of every single panel and page. And then I also do all the lettering at the end. Yeah, and most of the characters, like definitely all the side characters, just came from Tommy and my nightly, weekly conversations, over Star Chaser when we were playing the MMO, and after that when we started, really getting into our careers, not as comic writers, but the day jobs,
Mm-hmm.
as it were. And the characters will really come from anywhere. One of my favorites is Saint Orson, who the readers don't see in number 1, but they hear of him in number 2. And Saint Orson came from, and this is where a lot of the names come from. Tommy did a typo. He's asking if I wanted to talk on Saturday or Sunday. He's like Saturday or Sun, and it was like a big jumble of words. And I'm like, this looks like it could be a character name. Who is Saint Orson? And they come from there. I think in number 1, sometimes they'll just be these fine little ideas. We have like Walnut Head. Tell everyone about Walnut Head, Tommy.
Walnut Head. Yeah, no, it's a lot of little things I write in will just be little jokes that I don't think anyone will really get. Walnut Head was just me making myself laugh. There's a character in one of the Harry Potter books that J.K. Rowling describes as having a squished walnut head. And I was listening to a podcast of a guy reading the book, and he would not stop marveling about that description. So I just put that in the script. I wanted to see what Tom would do with that. So now there's
and Tom drew that's just the best depiction. And I'm sure they're going to see the page. It's within the first 10 pages.
Mm-hmm. No, we have a Trumpet Cat. So Tank Paladin, when we were talking about the different classes, also saying Walnut Head, throwing some laughing emojis in chat over that. I mean, imagine being described as a squash walnut head. Like, I could never. I'd wear a hat or something. So, man, this was such an outstanding story for everyone that is watching. Right here is the link. You can, or this is available to order, right? Issue 1?
Right. Issue 1's not available yet. You can get the Ash Can. Issue 1 will be coming out on February 8th, and you can get that from a comic store or from the Scout website.
So right there is the Scout link for that, or make sure to order it from your local comic book shop. Letting them know you want this book makes them want to put it more on their shelves more and more, and getting as many eyes on this project as possible is what we're trying to do. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the collaboration of Oswald and the Star Chaser. I mean, so how does this work between you guys? Like, do one of you come up with an idea and then bounce it back and forth to refine it, or like how does that effort look like?
Yeah, so there's a lot of bouncing of ideas, and then the actual process of getting it all written out. So I will go through and I will kind of do a rough outline of page by page of the story beats, so like what happens in the issue, and then once that's done, or if I get stuck on something, I'll show it to Tyler, and then he'll go over it and make suggestions or come up with his own alternatives. And then once we got something that we both agree on, then I go through and I fully script it out. And then, like I said, if I get stuck on a part where I'm scripting, like, hey, you have an idea for this, or I'm kind of stuck here. What should I like? What do you think? And then after it's all scripted out, he'll go through the pass through, and then basically we just give it to Tom, and then he'll kind of do his own thing. Sometimes he'll follow the page. Sometimes he'll be like, hey, I have an idea for this, and then like, oh yeah, that works, and then we'll kind of make it work. So there's a lot of reiterating throughout the process, just writing, then rewriting, then rewriting, then rewriting. I just try to make sure that everyone's got gives input on what they think the story should look like.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I was good. I was
sorry.
gonna follow up and finish on that because it goes to Tom, then Simon, and then once it gets to lettering phase, the collaboration actually it's not done there because once it gets to lettering, and this is a privilege I have as a co-writer, it's almost like when you're like filming a TV show, especially sitcoms. I've watched all the Seinfeld behind the scenes when Larry David talks about kind of from the script to when it's acted out, and really when it gets to the lettering phase, I found that to be similar because I'm kind of the final piece when I'm putting all the dialogues in the characters' mouths, literally coming out in balloons, and seeing them speak like this. Sometimes I'll put in something the Star Chaser says, and I might adjust it a little bit because I feel like this is almost how Star Chaser sounds, but I think maybe she would say something a little bit like this, or maybe instead Oswald reacts like this, and then I get all my draft letters done. I send it to Tommy, and if there's any big changes, I'll show him and be like, what do you think about this? Maybe the Delfish duo. It'd be funnier if he goes on a little more about this, and then either he accepts them or we vetoes and we agree on it. And that's that final little bit that I think really hones the dialogue at least. And I would say, and again, that is a privilege as a co-writer. Don't try to do that with your letter people. They'll get really angry at you. but if they're game for that, it's something unique we do.
I was about to ask, as the letterer as well, does that like have any like impact on like when you're like trying to write out the script and bounce ideas back and forth? Are you like ever like maybe this is too wordy, like like as a letterer, like does that like impact you at all?
No, I wouldn't say so. In the beginning, I just kind of as long as Tommy, if he's writing like a whole huge paragraph on this panel, which is one of 5 panels, which he doesn't really usually do, I'll say this might be a little long, but typically I like to just let us do that initial script, and it'll be a challenge for myself. And once it gets to the lettering phase, I'll either say oh yeah, I'm actually able to fit this in by butting the balloon up against it, or I might just part it down a little bit and then go back and forth with Tommy and say I part this down a little bit. Do you think it's okay? But Tom as well, he's really great about the layouts. So, and it's really in that phase when he shows us the layouts that we know if I'll know if something's a little too wordy, or if there's like 3 balloons. But
yeah,
no, usually not a problem.
So, Tommy, Tyler, I gotta ask, what happens when you guys come to a disagreement? Like, it can't be all like agreements on this script. Like, what do you guys do? I know you mentioned a veto system. Tommy, do you want to go ahead and take the wheel?
So we're generally pretty good about. I don't think there's been anything that we've really had where it's like I'm right, no, I'm right, and then we couldn't budge. We're generally pretty good about talking things out. And then generally when he's doing the lettering, if there's something that I feel like, oh, I don't think Oswald would say it like that or Star Trek like that, I generally suggest like, oh, maybe something like this or whatever, and I try to explain my reasoning. And we're generally pretty good about like, okay, I can see why you want it that way or that, and then we like find a middle ground or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would say that it's nothing that's too formal. It's a very casual. I'm best friends with Tommy, for how many years now? 10, 9, 10 years. But I feel like in certain issues, there might be certain things that we like really have our heart set on, and when someone has that, I believe the other will kind of be like, okay, yeah, we can make it work, or we're mature, we'll come to agreements, and it's always fun along the way.
And I think that's important, right? Is having that ability to be like, okay, well, this is what they really want. Let's try to make it work for them too. Like, it's a 100% a team collaboration. That's awesome. So, I mean, let's dive a little deeper into the story of Oswald and the Star Chaser. I just love Oswald. Like, he comes in, he's brash, he's about it, he wants to take on the world, and no one wants to help him. He also, likes expensive, nice, pointy starships. And Star Chaser is like the opposite, like you were explaining earlier, Tommy. It has like the bulky spaceship, but it's big enough to house both of them, right? It serves its purpose a little bit better. It's just not as flashy, not nearly as many payments left to pay it off either. So give us a little bit about the story of Oswald and the Star Chaser.
Yeah, so Oswald and Star Chaser, it's about a young space knight, Oswald. He's setting out to save his home, the Starlands, the kingdom that stretches across the galaxy. It's been taken over by the evil king, and so he's trying to find a team of heroes that'll help him stop the evil king. And it's kind of just like this big adventure across this crazy space wonderland with Star Chaser in tow, who's not a fun space knight. She's just a very serious space mercenary.
Yeah, definitely, because she's been around. She's experienced kind of the underbelly of things, whereas Oswald, is essentially a college dropout because he was in the academy, and then when the now King Feck, usurped the throne, the college was over. The college was taken over and destroyed, and so now, and it's important to note that Oswald's looking for these heroes. All he has is this, in like one of his old notebooks, his almost literal list of childhood heroes that he goes through the whole series, try and track them down. And once he gets enough, then he believes that he can launch a whole assault or something against the evil king. And I guess we'll see if that happens.
I really loved the interactions too. How in the beginning, he's like, the evil king, is going to take over the universe. Everyone's like, well, that's not my problem. Like, we're getting treated okay. We're not going to really mess that up. And I thought that just hit it right on the head, right? That's how like society is, right? If it's not impacting them directly, they don't care. And the Devilfish duo I thought was really interesting too. The interaction there, it's like, well, you guys, there's two of you, and like that interaction bleeds throughout the issue, and I just loved it. Their little calling card, like you've been officially like duped by the Devilfish duo. You guys said there was a spinoff too, with just them in particular.
So it's a short 12-page webcomic that we had on Tumblr. I can find the link. It's like a little one shot of them going on a heist and the hijinks they get up to there.
That's so awesome. We have a Trumpet Cat, Oswald the Space Knight, and the College Dropout. Here is that link, guys. Once again, if you're unable to pre-order it, simply putting that on Facebook or Twitter, anywhere you can, is 100% free. Word of mouth is very important for this type of stuff, and just telling your friends and family about it helps do that. So let's try to get this as far as possible out there. You guys said this is one of a 6-issue miniseries?
So it's going to be, we've got a lot of issues planned. I think 30 in total, but this is the first volume. So it goes 1 to 6.
Okay, awesome. 30 issues too. That is so awesome. So this is going to be one heck of a ride, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, issues 1 through 6 are completed. They are, Scout Comics has them, all the files in hand. And they're going to be coming out between February and August or September. Pretty much every month. So and that's the first volume. And as Tommy said, we have, I think 6 arcs planned. A whole 30 issues. So we're really not, riding by the seat of our pants here. We have this pretty laid out, and it might take a few years, a handful of years for that to, all be drawn and scripted out. But it's going to be a ride for sure.
Hey, real quick, we actually have Trumpet Cat over on YouTube asking for the link. Do you have that, Tommy?
I've just sent it to the private chat in the studio.
Yeah, let me go ahead. We're going to copy this real quick for you guys, and then you can check this out. So here is the link to that.
Yeah, and this link, yeah. So this is the Devilfish Duo one shot, and it's almost a pilot, sort of, for Oswald and Star Chaser. This was the proof of concept that came, a couple of years before. Because, and then the thinking between me and Tommy was that we wanted to wait on launching Oswald and Star Chaser. So let's try something, just a little test in the same universe and see how it comes out, and really officially test our collaborative process. Because before this, we'd only done a little 6-page submission to the Image Comics Creators for Creators contest. I think that was a couple years before this, which was 2017, 2018. But yeah, and if you read this and then you read Star Chaser, then you'll see some of how it came to be.
That is so cool. That is awesome. I love just kind of hearing like the behind the scenes, like how it was approached, like hearing that was kind of like the pilot spinoff, and then seeing them actually in action in Oswald and the Star Chaser in the bar scene and afterwards was just phenomenal. And I love the calling card so much. It's like, dude, you guys are gonna get caught. What are you doing?
Well, that's their thing. They don't want to get caught. They want to be famous. That's their goal.
Yeah, they're thieves who really don't really care as much about what they're stealing as getting infamy and being well known, and eventually putting out merchandise and having a following. And these characters, the Devilfish Duo, who you'll see them in this one shot, you'll see them throughout the series. They are they will be the B plot, and it really revolves around them and the people they meet, and they're kind of the comedic comedy relief, but also you'll follow them, and it's always a great time.
That is so awesome. So everyone watching, right there is the link to pre-order this, and right there is the link to the spinoff. What's next for you guys after issue 1? I know you have up to 6 issues dropping all the way up to August, but outside of that, any other titles or releases we can expect from you in 2023?
For 2023, I am working on some other stuff I want to pitch to other publishers, and then hopefully we see how Scout reacts to how people react to number for volume 1, and then how Scout decides to do with us for that. So hopefully more for 2023. Like I said, I got a lot that I'm working on. I know Tyler's got some stuff that he's working on that's probably gonna be coming out for 2023.
Wait, is this stuff we're working on together, or are you doing some stuff?
No, yeah, so we're working on together, and then I know you're lettering for someone.
Yeah, well, and Tommy and I have another. We got another IP that we're in the process of scripting and getting that out. I am lettering Patty and Laz. That is another Scout series that will be coming out end of 2023, early 2024. That's written by Michael Sanchez. It looks really fun, and I'm gonna keep honing my lettering on that series. I'm not co-writing that one. I'm just writing Star Chaser. And let's see. I've also got a little collaboration with Stefano Cardicelli. He's a longtime Scout artist and does all sorts of his stuff. That's early in the works, but we got a lot in the works. Tommy and
That's so cool. Congratulations to both of you. That is so awesome to kind of see how you both are just exploding from this. And Tyler, like your first time lettering, like picking up another series as well to letter, that's pretty cool as well. Awesome. So real quick, before we end the podcast, I'd like to ask you both for a little bit of advice for anyone who might be new watching. Maybe they're experienced, but they just need a little boost of motivation to kind of just get a second wind. For anyone that is watching and just having a hard time getting going, what type of advice would you offer them just to help them get motivated?
I'd say just to, and it's kind of cliche, but just kind of, if you've got a story that you want to write, just kind of, even if it doesn't come out good the first draft, like you're gonna rewrite a few times. So even if you just throw out words in your head onto the word pad or notebook, just having that out there helps. Helps get you going. Like if you've got an idea in your head and you think, well, it's not perfect yet, and you just let it sit in your head, it's gonna be hard to actually get it out there. And then you just put down what comes to your head immediately, and you say, well, what doesn't work here? And so just getting going kind of helps me, and then it also helps like compartmentalize. So we talk about the process. We do like the laying out and stuff. So I'd always kind of take like a notebook and then go, here's a single line for a single page and what happens here, and then it's kind of expanded to expanding to like a little paragraph per page, and then just getting anything out there helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, if we had to show what our Star Chaser scripts like look like in that first, it's like a bulleted list on Microsoft Word. Like I think even professional writers like you guys, it starts, yeah, like Tommy said, start small. It doesn't look amazing, and that I feel is one of my shortcomings as a writer. That I feel like if something isn't exactly how I like it, I won't write it down. And there's a quote from Stephen King, which has been paraphrased, and I'm going to paraphrase it again, which is that you can't edit a blank page. And there's like 5-6 words I can't count. Really struck me, like it, and something else he says, just like throw it up onto the page, even if it's total crap. You can revise it and show a friend or something, and they'll give you feedback. And we always take that. But my advice for new creators, you got anything else, Tommy? I got to think about this one.
I just think getting over the hump of like chasing perfection before you start. I think that's the big thing, is just starting out and working with what you got and then revising after.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say be ready for this to become your life. I mean, and especially because I'm a graphic designer, so I am prepare for it to be your life, to be a passion project. I am doing I do all of our promotional graphics. You're gonna have to do all the social media, but just have fun with it. Mm-hmm. It's like chase that idea that's the most fun, because and I hope people aren't listening like, oh wow, this is doing all the social media, doing these graphics is gonna be a lot of work. Well, I really love doing all the Star Chaser stuff. It's always fun to design that graphic. Mm-hmm. I'm prepared to do a lot of work for free, but that's the cost.
Yeah, right.
And just all the networking, reach out to people. I think everyone kind of wants to learn about you and be talked to. I don't know.
And the only way for people to learn about you is to put yourself out there, right? It's like that old saying, you can go into a bar and drink all you want, but you're not going to make friends until you start reaching out. And that kind of goes to the same thing with like marketing your brand and such. People won't know about you until you start reaching out and putting that work in. It's awesome advice, guys. Yeah,
that's a really good point. Like, yeah, if you put out some tweets and they don't pick up, keep doing it, and just keep doing it. And, start working bigger and bigger. And eventually, we started from nothing. Chats on an MMO, guys. I mean,
yeah. No, that's awesome. We have Ichthus stopping in over on YouTube saying, what is up, Total Excellence? Catching us right at the tail end. We appreciate you stopping in, Ichthus. I hope you're having a fantastic afternoon as well. This has been such an awesome chat. Tommy, Tyler, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, will you give us a shout out any social media platforms that readers and listeners can find you on?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter for ETK Comics. And then we also have the Starlands.com.
The Starlands.com is like the Star Chaser hub as well. And I'm, we got the Star Chaser comic candles, and I'm August Marches on Twitter and Instagram. Just talk to us, send an message, complain to us, do whatever you want. You can even email spacemail@thestarlands.com. That's going to be our our letters column, because we always love those in Invincible or all sorts. They used to do that a lot in comics. So that's spacemail, one word, @thestarlands.com. Maybe you can write that or whatever.
It's always awesome when you get to see fans like give you letters too, right? So we'll make sure to have all that updated in the description. I want to say most of those social media platforms should be listed though. Trumpet Cat, real quick, you can go to the bar just like Oswald did. Yeah. Well, everyone watching, we are going to be wrapping up. It has been a lovely, lovely Saturday afternoon. Right here is that link to check out that preview with the Devilfish duo. Yep, right there it is. Be sure to check it out. And while you're at it, be sure to pre-order issue 1 of Oswald and the Star Chaser as well. Tommy Tyler, thank you for swinging by. Everyone watching, have an awesome day. But most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.